Hello everybody and welcome back to an amazing episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator today, guys, where I get to show you something absolutely incredibly cool from the company Alitmeter Motives, and that is their 6-pack plus instrument panel. Stick around, you guys, because this thing is absolutely mind-blowing and made such a huge difference that I flat out was not expecting, and has even caused me a little bit of balance shift in 2D versus VR. Stick around. If you are interested in acquiring any of my Overkills tutorial guides from Microsoft Flight Simulator, or simply interested in supporting the channel, please consider joining us on Patreon. Patreon subscribers level tier 2 and above have access to all of my guides, as well as any future releases that come down the road. Patreon link can be found in the description below. All right, you guys, so first up, as I get into this, I want you guys to be aware I am coming over a little bit of a sickness, guys, so if my voice sounds a little weird, I do apologize. But let's get to talking about this thing right out of the gate. This thing's absolutely phenomenal. Now, this is the Alitmeter Motives 6-pack plus. First thing I wanted you guys to know, let's try that again. The first thing I want you guys to know about Alitmeter Motives. They are a small company. I had the distinct pleasure of speaking with the owner and operator for over an hour and a half on the phone. It was supposed to be just a quick sort of meet and greet, half-hour phone call thing, and we ended up talking for about an hour and a half. And just an absolutely fabulous person who's got all of the right intentions in the right place. And what I mean by that is flight simulation equipment can be so expensive and so underwhelming for the price in so many different levels. The thing I like about these smaller companies like Alitmeter Motives or Flight Sim Builder, Authenticate, things of those nature, is that these guys and gals are in it for the right reason. They're still trying to make, of course, a profit. Yeah, why would anybody, right? But their goal is to make a awesome product that's at an affordable reach. Now, this guy rocks, if memory serves, right around $379. Now, before you guys go saying that's too expensive, trust me, it is not. I want you guys to think about that. You guys are seeing this on a cell phone camera right now, and look at the clarity that you guys are able to see. That speaks something to the screens that are behind this. Now, yours truly actually had this mounted on the Bravo throttle quadrant. It's got a mounting plate right here behind it where the bolts, actually here, yeah, I can pick that up for you guys here. And you guys can see the holes there where they actually line up with that of the Bravo or the Alpha throttle or Alpha yoke. So the Bravo throttle or the Alpha yoke. But as you guys know, as you guys have seen it many times, I have the cockpit here, and you guys will see it all set up here at the very end of the video. I had footage of it mounted on. It looks really slick. Unfortunately, yours truly got a little delete happy with recordings, and I accidentally deleted it. Like I said, I'm a little under the weather, so I wasn't paying attention. So yeah, that was totally my bad. Didn't mean to delete that recording. So I do want you guys to know that it has the mounting plate underneath it that is designed for the Bravo or the Alpha from Honeycomb. So if you guys want to mount this directly on top of it, it looks really, really slick. The Alpha yoke will obviously make more sense, as you definitely want this center line like I have here. This is on my NextLevelRacing Pro Flight cockpit, guys. Link to that is also down in the description if you guys are interested, and I really like the way this setup works right the way I want it. I'm going to back the camera up for just a minute so you guys can sort of see how it's proportioned out. There we go. You guys can sort of see how I have it directly under the monitor. And I'm going to show you guys one more thing here in just a minute. Let me move this camera up on the simulator so you guys can get a really neat idea of sort of how I'm doing this. So when I'm actually flying, give me just a second here. You guys are going to see it all. I want you guys to see it live in the view here. You guys will obviously screen on screen in a minute, but that's sort of what I'm going for, is sort of that kind of configuration. And it's working really, really nice. And it's been a lot of fun to use this. Now, where is the advantage in this? What is it bringing to me? What's the big changes? Let me get this camera back into a decent position here. There we go. So the big things that I want to talk about right out of the gate as far as the pros to this is it truly enhances the simulation experience in the aspect that, first off, all the dials and everything work. So your course needles, your heading knob, altimeter settings, ADI, pressurization and temperature for your airspeed, your Hobbs meter and time. All of this is all functional and pulls it directly from the sim. Now, they've got two different plugins that you actually download that are obviously free, and you just run them. You download them, and you literally just hit run. Now, there's one that's a gyroscope. I'm going to show you guys both of them. So what you guys are seeing here right now is the HSI configuration. Okay, now give me just a second. I'm going to show you guys the gyro compass. So it's going to be based on the configuration of the aircraft. So you guys are going to see everything go dark here. Now this is going to be the gyro compass here. And like I said, all you do is double click, bam, there it is. Okay, and you guys can see how things have changed now. Now we have the gyro compass instead of the HSI. So based on your type of aircraft that you're flying, your gauge and readouts and availability are going to change. And it's just this one here, whether it's the HSI or the compass. Now I'm going to go back to the HSI because one of the things I want to show you guys today when we do this is an ILS approach and how cool that is with having everything right in front of you. The difference between seeing it here and on the screen or in VR is, I guess VR not so much. It's still pretty comparable, but this is much nicer, much more clear, much more legible, and a greater immersive experience, especially if you are a 2D flyer. Obviously for VR, now I did use this in VR. Obviously the screen was completely pointless, but being able to come up here and use my ADIs and things like that was still really cool. It was very easy in VR to reach up, but at $379 or I think is what it is. Obviously that gets a little expensive for just a couple of rotaries, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend it for that. So this is definitely for your 2D user, which I know there are still plenty of us out there. But having them in here versus up on the screen is a completely different experience, and it provides a whole different level of clarity. Everything is so legible and so nice. The coloring is absolutely perfect. Whatever screen they're using behind these is absolutely gorgeous. The other thing that I want you guys to know, if you are a desktop flyer, is there's a really beautiful, and I'll show you guys at the end of the video here. I actually have it in the other room, unfortunately. I'm just clearly not prepared. As I'm thinking about this, I'm going, you idiot. I'm sitting here smacking myself around, but there's a beautiful like mahogany wood plate about that big that comes with the kit, that those same mounting screws behind, and it comes with the hardware that you can screw to the wooden plate for desktop users if you just want like a pedestal for it to sit on. It's just it's just a block of wood about that big, but really nice and pretty, beautiful trim. Again, I will show you guys that at the end of the video. You guys will see the whole kit and everything comes with it. The other cool thing is it doesn't require an external power supply. It gets all of its power directly from USB, which is a big deal because most aftermarket touchscreens or LCD screens, you have your USB connection to the computer and you have a power supply that needs to obviously come from the wall. Now that may not be a big deal to some, but that still is very, very nice. It makes it very, very easy for plug and play, especially for example, let's say you're a laptop flyer. You could actually take this with you. You really could if you wanted to go somewhere, but what I've got holding behind you guys, by the way, if you guys watch, is just a couple of magnets under here. You guys can sort of see them right under there. They're just two magnets, and they're not sticking to it. I just press that up against it, and you guys can see if I push really hard, but I don't need to. Okay, like for these, I just come up and I do this to reset my altimeters and things. Okay, but if I want to come up and manipulate anything, I don't have to push or anything, so it's not moving at all. All it needs is, for me at least that I'm finding, is just something behind it to just keep it from sliding backwards because it's on a smooth surface here. So what I'm going to do here, guys, is we're going to go for a quick flight. We're over here at Tucson, Arizona. We're going to set up for an ILS approach here on 11 left. And we're going to do a quick circuit around the pattern. You guys are going to see everything be adjusted here on the altimeter. So let's go ahead and take a look at what our altimeter pressure is here. I'm going to bring this screen down sort of to here. And for whatever reason, Microsoft Flight Simulator is way out of there. I'm not sure why. That was very odd. All right, let's do this. Let's bring this guy maybe up here. Probably make a bit more sense. I'll trim as much of it out as I can. There we go. There you go. You guys can sort of get the idea. I mean, obviously this is the major focal point here, so I'm going to make this a bit larger than the scenery. I want you guys to see the avionics, not so much the scenery around us. All right, but we're going to go for a quick flight. And you know what? I'm just going to hit the B key. Yep, I already did set the altimeter pressure. So let's go for a quick circuit around. I've already got Tucson locked in here. All we're going to need to do is set our GPS. I'm going to see, that's my heading bug. So it's aligned with our current heading. And course knob. You guys can sort of see how quickly it rotates. And you can really spin it, or you can do very fine tune. So it really depends. So I was already there. I'm actually going to move that out of my way for a second. We're on 126 is what we want for our ILS. So if I want to get around real quickly, I can give it a nice spin. You guys can see how quickly this moves around. And then once we get to where we want to be, just a little tap, just tap it in. Give it a little tap, 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 tap-a-roo. Okay, name the movie, guys. And let's go ahead and realign our heading bug. I mean, look at that. I mean, you just barely have to turn it. Everything works just primo. All right, let's go for a flight. You can see the RPMs in gauges. Really watch the gauges, guys, not so much the aircraft. You're really going to be impressed with this, I think. Let me get that camera back where I want it. There's airspeed indicator coming alive. Oh, crap, I'm at full flaps. Oops. There we go. Here's 60 knots, rotating. Oop. Oh, it's because I pulled the flaps all the way up. Gosh, I'm just making all kinds of idiot moves. There we go. There's a nice solid 80. Looking for about 500 feet per minute climb out here. We're in the M20 Mooney, by the way. Gear rising. For those of you who didn't recognize the aircraft, let's pull those RPMs back. Now, the one thing I do wish that I could get here on this would be manifold pressure. That would be nice to have. And you can watch how responsive. Watch the vertical speed indicator. I mean, it is right there with you. There's no delay. And it's using two different plugins. So there's a plugin that was designed in-house by Alitmeter Motives, and they also have a partnership, if you will, with... oh, crap. I'm going to forget the name of them. Air Manager. They have a partnership with Air Manager. Air Manager does did a lot of the paneling work for them, and that's the other really cool thing as far as determining the screen, right? So this is a monitor. Your computer's going to recognize this as a monitor, right? And so when you first launch the panel software, right, that imports everything, it may appear on one of your other monitors, and all you have to do, I'm going to see if I can find it real quick. We got to get our mouse over here. This might be kind of weird. I got to figure out where it is. Oh, there it is. Okay, so right now, I'm going to move the mouse to the ADI. The mouse is over the ADI right now. So if I right-click, you guys can see that menu. This is all those are all of the... these are all the different monitors. So all I did was have to come down, find this monitor right here. All I did was click on it, and bam, everything lined up perfectly. Absolutely perfectly. I had no issues after that. It was really, really slick. Now, there are ways to fine-tune them if you do have an issue with it. You are able to fine-tune those. If, tweak them, a couple pixels to the left, couple pixels to the right, whatever it may be. We got way higher than what I wanted to. And so that part is really easy as well, but I didn't have to do any of it. The registration that is showing here, I actually can go into the sim, change my registration to Overkill, and for me, it was really cool because Overkill fit perfectly here, which I'm kind of bummed out that I forgot to do that. But so let's do this. I do need to go into the cockpit for a second here on the aircraft, and we need to do swap to our ILS and change the GPS or the nav source from GPS to the localizer. And now take a look what happened to our HSI on the panel. We now have our course needle, and course deviation line is now appearing. So let's start turning to the reciprocal course to fly the, what is it, downwind. We're a little high. We're about 500 feet higher than what I want to be, so we'll just extend out a little bit further. Descend a little bit. There's the reciprocal. Let's pull that airspeed back. We are turning and burning. That's the thing about the damn Mooney, man. She's fast. Gives a nice little descent. Now remember, she's not the most authentic of aircraft, so I love the Mooney. The Mooney is one of my favorite planes. I know it's not particularly modeled to accuracy with it. She's really touchy in the controls. but it's an absolutely fabulous little aircraft. It's too much fun. But I cannot stress enough how big of a change this made. So we were talking about the comparison between VR and 2D with this panel, and I didn't expect it to make the change that it did for me. So in VR, you obviously get that three-dimensional world that is really, really hard to contend with, right? It's really hard to beat that three-dimensional world. Okay, but what you do get that is really hard to argue with is that immersive feeling of having your instrument panel right up front. And I can't describe it. Many of you may be hearing me say that and go, no, it's what difference is it if it's on the screen or on another screen that just happens to be closer. But this panel creates a different sense of immersion. It really does. And I was super, super excited to be a part of this and be able to do a review on this particular product. I think the biggest thing is that there's no... You don't have to worry about zooming, okay? And you don't have to worry if you're looking out the window, like if I'm looking off to the left, let's say I'm in track IR. I don't have to worry about whether or not I'm staring at my gauges. You know, as soon as I come back to center, I don't know how to describe it, you guys. I really don't. But I can tell you that I'll keep saying it over and over again. The immersion change that took place. Oops, now I'm getting too low. The immersion change that took place was extensive and far greater than what I anticipated. It is a very, very nicely done and very well built piece of hardware. The ease of use alone, and there's our glide slope indicators coming alive. The ease of use alone is money right there. I mean, it was basically plug and play. Like I said, 2 pieces of software that you download. It was the gyro compass and the HSI. So you decide which one you need at that particular flight. And you guys saw I switched it mid-flight. It installs a plug-in Microsoft Flight Simulator. You don't have to launch the software before you launch the sim. You saw me switch profiles from the compass to the HSI while Microsoft Flight Simulator was running while we were in the cockpit. So, you know, if you change aircraft, you don't have to close the sim down or anything like that. You just pick the correct profile. All right, so now we're coming below the glide slope. Let's add some power back in here. Let's get some flaps down. Let's get the gear down. We're going to start turning. I'm going to level that descent. Whoa! What was that? Little scene gen there. Come on, you twitchy bird, you. Wow, gosh, big stutters this time. Wonder if my internet speed isn't as fast tonight. We have stormy weather here in Tucson, as you guys can see. The clouds are actually sort of accurate for once. Alright, I want to level that descent because we are below the glide slope. You guys can see the glide slope indicators here and here. The 2 yellow lines. And when they're above you, when they're high like that, it means you are below the glide slope line. And then we're going to wait for our course deviation line to start coming in. Gosh darn, I cannot get this plane to pick an altitude. Nose is really fighting me today. I keep trimming, I'm trimming. And every time I trim, I'm losing it more and more. So you can see the runway off to the left here, but we're waiting for our course deviation line to pop in. Would you stop it? There's the line, and I'm going to turn quickly. And that's just how quickly the sim reported that deviation line. I wish it would give me a little bit more notice, but that's all right. And you guys can see there's our glide slope indicators now coming down. So now we're actually coming above the glide slope. So I'm going to increase that descent rate. I want to keep these 2 yellow boxes about in the middle. So I'm getting above it now. You guys can compare the deviation line or the glide slopes to the PAPI lights out in front. And so we'll just bring it in. Watching that glide slopes. It's just, and it's such a different experiencing having all this stuff right in front of me. Like I'm just, all I have to do is glance my eyes down. And I think just having it so much closer makes such a huge difference. And I don't know how to describe it. I really don't. And I wasn't anticipating the change that I was feeling. Okay. I really wasn't. I mean, you guys have seen in my last few videos, I've been doing exclusively VR almost. I mean, every flight that I've been doing has been in the Crystal. So I've obviously been really big on virtual reality lately. Ever since I received this and started testing it and playing with it, the more I use it, the more I fly it, the more attached I'm getting to it. I mean, it's really one of those things that, like, I was flying around in the Crystal earlier today and I ended up taking the Crystal off because I wanted to have access to these. So it really is a game changer. It is a big game changer. Now, obviously, you guys, it comes with a price. The price is definitely steep, you know, when it comes to some other hardware, but it is very, very nice. It's got the VESA mounting in the back, so you guys can put it directly on a monitor mount if you want. So you can have it up on a movable arm or any kind of VESA mounting system that you may have. It's just a really, really nicely built, very high quality piece of equipment. And again, the fact that it doesn't have any power supply requirements really makes a huge difference. So now coming into final thoughts here, obviously you guys know what my stance is here at this point. The build quality is absolutely fantastic. Like I just got done saying, everything's very nicely polished. It's got an absolutely gorgeous display and feel to it. It's nice and smooth. The construction was just so well thought out. The ease of use alone, like I said earlier, is worth its price in gold. It is virtually plug and play. You plug it in, plug in your USB, plug in your HDMI. And by the way, I am using a USB to HDMI adapter from SmartTech and have this plugged into a USB port. So this thing is actually not using any HDMI ports on my actual video card. Everything is going through USB. USB to HDMI adapter for the video and USB for all of its power and data. So literally 2 plugs, you plug it in, turn it on. And it's got power buttons back here on the side. Actually, I think it's on this side. But download the 2 pieces of software that we talked about for the gyro compass versus the HSI, which is right here. I prefer the HSI still, no matter what. I don't care what I'm flying. I want the HSI. It's just something that I think I'm just more used to and more comfortable with it. You can change them out on the fly. Assigning, once you launch the software, if the software pops up on the wrong screen, you simply right click, find the correct monitor, and boom, everything lined up perfectly for me on the first attempt. I didn't have to do any tweaking or anything like that with it. It just was there and working. And that's it. That's all the configuration you have to do. There's nothing else required. They've really done a great job. And I think the partnership with Air Manager really made a lot of that possible for these guys as well. It's an absolutely fantastic piece of equipment that I can't recommend enough if you're someone like myself who's trying to expand your simulation experience. The combination between this and, for example, my flight sim builder GNS 530, I've also got the G1000. Having all of these units together really changes the game significantly. It all starts to really incorporate well with each other. Obviously, these things, a lot of them, you probably have to save up for and you know, and get them piecemeal, just like I've been doing. But it is really worth it, you guys. So if you are looking to elevate your 2D experience to the next level, maybe you're someone, especially if you're somebody who is, for example, looking for flight training, things like that. I do not believe these are limited to Microsoft Flight Simulator, guys. Microsoft Flight Simulator just happens to be what I use them in. Remember that these plugins work for P3D, X-Plane, etc. So you have a lot of options out there if you guys are interested. So again, this is Alitmeter Motives 6-Pack Plus. Big shout out to the developer and owner and operator. It was an absolute pleasure talking to you. I can't wait to do more videos with this. We are going to be showing this more frequently on the video. I'm trying to set up sort of a cockpit cam display to start doing more cockpit interaction so you guys can see everything in its action on some of these videos, especially as we start getting back into live streams. Let me know what you guys think. I hope that I represented this product in its full capacity. It really is a marvel, and I really am just giddy about it. I really am giddy about this. This has been a lot of fun to have and a major change to my experience. I hope you guys feel the same. I hope you guys can feel that enthusiasm. No, I was not paid to say any of this. These opinions are mine and mine alone. So if anyone has any doubts on that, well, I don't know what to tell you. But anyway, as always, guys, stay safe and healthy. Let me know what your thoughts are down below, and I will see you in the next one.